One player who can take a lot of credit for North Strong's season so far is their goal-kicking union convert, Daryl Halligan, who must rank as one of the finds of the season.
So that first season with the Bears,
1991 was a great year, first year of rugby league for me, but it was also an absolute nightmare. So I play every game after going on and replacing Bailey Simons and Dad Paul for the rest of the year, and we're thrown into these finals. And I have arguably the worst goal-kicking game that you could have.
Hold your breath. No! So it's not Halligan's day, and it might not be the Bears' day.
It was a grand final qualifier. Greg Brandy kicks, I think he kicks 2 or 3 from 5. I kicked 1 from 5. They win by 2.
what went wrong on the day now in reflection?
The first 2 kicks I sent to the left of the post. And then the last one I tried to adjust for it and I didn't even hit it right, and it just sat up and out right, and by the end of it, it was all over. I took a bag of footies home for Christmas that year back to NZ, and I didn't kick every day, but I kicked a couple of times each week into the break and what have you, in a little place called Whittyanga. And I still remember the old small little post there, trying to knock a couple over just to make amends.
Bears fans still remind you of that?
Poor old 1991 Daryl Halligan. You wouldn't want to be him, would you? I came back that following season and put a little footprint and pattern of what I like to call a goal-kicking footprint in place, and stuck to it, and then started to get the benefits of it. I kicked 67% in my first year, and that was considered quite a good sort of conversion rate at that time, because there wasn't too many round-the-corner kickers. But by the end of, wind the clock forward 10 years, and I end up with a reasonable average.
What did you kind of put in place then, over the next couple of years? How much did that day in 1991 kind of change your process?
Well, I never had a routine. I just put the ball down, have a couple of kicks. But so in 92, I sort of worked out that if I had 5 spots in front to start with, double up, and make 6 spots, 36 kicks, I could have a session where I could actually start and I could finish. And then I'd start with in front and I'd finish in front, so those ones should be successful. So I'd start on a high and I'd finish on a high. And then in between, I'd work out how it went.
It's the lows of goal kicking, there's the highs of goal kicking.
Yep.
If you fast forward then to 98.
Has there been a more important kick for Canterbury? He hits it. If it hooks it, it's staying on the line. He's got it. Oh, the man is a messiah. He's a freak. That's it, freak.
Essentially kick the goal that sent it to extra time. The Dogs go through the grand final after that. I don't know, have you thought about the contrast in those 2 moments between 91 and 98?
Well, first of all, there's 8 years of football, or 7 years of football experience to actually calm yourself and to be in those positions. So that one helps, age, getting through, a couple of moments early where you don't have a couple of successful kicks, and then you go into a period where you do have a lot. So you're obviously a lot more mature. But I would go to the grounds the day before a game, whether it was at the football stadium, and that kicking, I kicked there the day before the game. And, not in that oval, there's not too much breeze or anything like that, but you do get used to ovals. And so I'd make that a bit of a habit as well. I'd get access to the grounds and go and kick all around the day before the game on my own and just find that space. And then, on that day, it pretty much, it worked. But that one I had to kick anyway, because we had such a young team in 1998. That was a 10-team semi-finals, and we'd been beaten Newcastle the week before with the Johns boys and everyone, and we're on a massive run with a really young team with Canterbury, and it was actually fun more than anything else.
Do you remember how you're feeling as that one sailed? Because it looked like it might hook and miss.
Yep.
Straightened up.
So I'd kicked a couple from that side of the field previously, and one had just started to shy that way. And when I kicked that one, I thought it had gone left, but it sort of held its line and then bent its way back towards the post. So I guess, like I say, it was more a little bit of fate than anything that day. That I'd done, so much work in the years leading up to it, might have been due that moment.
I've heard you say you didn't celebrate many goal kicks in your career, but
No.
you'd celebrate that one. Even though it was maybe a little bit of an awkward celebration.
Yeah, it is. The thing I remember more about that game was Stephen Folkes in the shed after the game, because we'd run Newcastle down in the semi-final the week before to get to that game. And he had sort of jumped up in his after game delivery and said that is one of Canterbury's greatest comebacks ever. And then we're waiting for him to deliver the comeback after Parramatta now the week later. And he stood up in the changing shed and was like, we're thinking, what's he going to say here? He'd already given us the greatest comeback last week. He said, that is the greatest comeback since last week.
This is the saviour, this man Halligan, and another 2 points.
The art of goal kicking. When did you first realise that you loved to shoot for the sticks?
I think it came in my rugby union days. I always was, from first 15 years, the kicker. And it also basically got me into some teams too. I mean, my skill set, you know, I wasn't the fastest, you know, I wasn't the most physical, could play the game, but, and so to have a goal kicker, actually, there was a spot on the team for that person as well.
It kind of changed so much, didn't it? We mentioned it before, but like from it was almost hit and miss, the toe pokes, it maybe even an afterthought at points, and then to make it such a crucial part of the game.
67% in your first year would not generally be considered a great result, but that was 1991, and it was. You know, by halfway through the 90s, if you weren't kicking 75%, then you were probably going to get chopped. So now, if you're not kicking above 80% as a goal kicker in the NRL team, then you're looking over your shoulder at who's coming next.
Talk me through your process as a goal kicker. What did you have to do? What was the thing you had to get right to feel like you were going to hit it sweetly?
Early on, I thought contact was everything, and it still is in a way. But then the mental trajectory of a flight path and what you're actually trying to do, what you're trying to create from that spot. So if you've got a set of poles and you can visualise the ball rotating between them, if you're a right footer, you might want to visualise it being really close to the right post no matter where you are on the field, because you generally have a little bit of right to left shape about your kicking. If you're a lefty, you generally go the other way about it. And then it's about putting that imprint of how you see that little movie in your head into play on the field.
There's a theory that someone says you can master anything if you spend 10,000 hours doing it.
Yep.
How many hours do you think you've spent goal kicking in your life?
I'll probably tick that box. I don't think you should sort of like look at it in terms of the long haul. I look at it now in terms of how can you make goal kicking fun, okay? Because it is such a laborious job. Go out there and practice. Get a technique that works for you, or manufacture your technique.
Strikes this one sweetly, and the flags go up again.
Pressure is a whole other game. How much does that change things?
Yeah, it does change the moment, obviously. But if you've been there before, done it before, then you shut it out. So in my first couple of years, I reckon I heard a lot of noise from the crowd, you know, chew on your boot, you know, and that sort of stuff, you know what I mean? But then I can't remember any noise at all for the last 5 or 6 years when I was kicking goals. You know, you could be yelling me or looking me in the face and screaming, and I probably wouldn't be hearing you. You just jump into your system, you shut yourself out, ball's there, the tee, set of posts, and away you go.